so we are officially live now. I'm glad it works.
Awesome.
All right, guys, you know the deal. This is Coffee Side Chat Tuesdays and Thursdays. Get your cup of coffee because we are talking with Cornelius Brown today. And I'm really excited because just to give a little bit of a background with us is we both worked together. What was it, like a couple years ago?
Yes, I think it's what going on four, three, four,
It was that long
maybe.
ago? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
time flies.
together.
Time flies.
Whoa. Yeah.
Mhm.
So then Cornelius went off on his own, then inspired my own. But so I'm gonna just do a brief bio for you guys to get to know him a little more. Cornelius Brown is a certified strength and conditioning specialist and founder of Elite Training. Cornelius coaches on individuals from all walks of life, ranging from youth athletes, general public, high school, and collegiate athletes to corporate executives. He specializes in maximizing individuals' physical and mental capacities to develop a lifestyle of enlightenment through conquering their performance goals. As he would say, establishing character through movement. So, how are
Yes,
you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm actually honored to be here and actually catch up with you as well. So it's
No.
it's time flies, but I'm very thankful.
Yeah,
Excited to
I
be
know.
here.
I feel like today's going to be more of a catch up session too, ironically enough. But so the first thing I wanted to ask you is what does establishing character through movement mean like for you and your business and kind of what do you guys do?
So what that really means is the power of understanding that movement and exercising is just more than just the physical aspect. And with it, we have the ability to really tap into the mental capacities and build a character that actually goes on for a lifestyle. And to me, I think that is the biggest purpose and the biggest goal when I have clients and individuals that come to me for training of that sort for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I mean, really, it all stems from mental that
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
and and so the topic today is the investing in you and really the importance of investing in yourself and even what that means. So first, I want to back up for a moment. How did you get into this line of business in the first place? Was there an
Oh boy.
enlightening moment, or what happened?
So I'll give a very try to really summarize the story.
Yeah,
Um, but it's funny. It's one of those situations to where this line of business really found me.
yeah.
And I kind of really got back to the roots of who I really was and what I was really chasing. If you go back several years with me being in college, I, pursued actual aerospace engineering at the time when I first started college. So a lot of people were like, what the heck? What was the switch?
I know. I remember you told me that. I was like, whoa, what happened there?
And so, just going through the years of actually studying engineering, I never really found that purpose.
Mhm.
Never could really get satisfied. And I'll be honest, I like what I did, but I didn't enjoy it to the point of I wanted to do this on a daily basis.
Right. The rest of your
And
life.
from my
Right.
is exactly. So at the time, I was actually training to walk on for UCF football, and I was really just immersed in the process of building myself to get to that physical potential and capacity to really go on and perform at that high level. And during that time, I found myself just going in the library. I would have an exam for engineering classes, and literally in the library just opening books, of course,
Yeah.
opening books and just reading exercise science, how to program, all of these things about the body, and I was just fascinated. And
Hmm.
that was my sense of purpose. I felt alive, and I felt it's like, man, I really understand it. I can comprehend it. And as I was going through it, people just took notice as of like, wow, I see that you love talking about this thing. You're doing it at a high level. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be an engineer. Like this is my life. Like
No
everything is gonna.
way.
I know. So I'm telling everybody like, nah, I'm just working out. Like I'm just doing this for me.
Yeah.
And I got to the point to where I just hit a wall. And when I hit that wall, I was like, where do I go from here? And the only thing that really gave me clarity and a sense of purpose was to switch my major. And so what was it you were to ask?
No, I was just gonna hop in for a minute because this
Hmm.
is I really love this conversation already because the word hitting a wall is real and a lot of people think it's like what does that mean? So what happened? Can you like elaborate more on
Oh,
what hitting the wall was for you? If you don't mind sharing
yeah,
because
no, absolutely, absolutely.
we have some coming live on Facebook too. So if you have
Okay.
any questions for Cornelius or me or both of us, feel free to write in the chat box. But what happens when you hit the wall?
So hitting the wall for me was a point of, I just looked at everything as a failure. Everything that I was touching was just, it didn't make sense. And, I wasn't happy with what I was doing. Even though I was in college, I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't see any purpose. I was like, I might as well just go back to what I'm used to doing. And I didn't know what else to do beyond that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it just kind of got in a state of mind to where it's like the only thing that I can do is work out. Like that was the only thing that brought me a sense of clarity. I didn't really want to, at the time I was so shameful, so I didn't want to really talk with anybody. So I was trying to mask everything just by, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out and I'm going to, make this team and everything of that sort. But in all reality, I was just broken inside. And there were so many things that was actually becoming of me that I didn't realize, by seeking my purpose and by actually gaining that clarity, that it really allowed me to say, wow, this is something that I can actually grow from. And I just started to see a little bit of light. It was just that little bit of light that says like, hey, there's a possibility on the other side of this.
Yeah, and I love that because there's a really big story here and that we have to be grateful when we're hitting the wall, right? Because
Oh.
we're finally being forced to
Hmm.
stop. Like our body's always communicating with us, our brain's always communicating us, our intuition and everything. And you were kind of like forced to stop. Were you resentful at any point in that time? Was that like a really difficult change for you to change your major and kind of go in more into exercise physiology? Oh,
No, it's funny because at the time everybody saw more potential in me by me just doing the thing that I love. And I didn't see it, but a lot of people would just started coming up to me and was like, man, like the way you talk about it, the way I it's so funny. I remember in my the apartment complex that I used to stay in, I just started doing free classes. It was like, hey, just meet me at the tennis court, the basketball court, and I'm gonna just run you through this program. And it was a sense of I was alive at those moments, and eventually it started out with one person. It started with my roommate, of course, and then I noticed I had like 10 people, and I'm like, what the heck do I do? But I
you're
love
like,
doing
this is
it.
working.
I know. So I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna go along. So
Yeah.
when I made the switch, it was like a sense of this is where I'm supposed to be.
Mm.
And from there, I was like, wow, like I can actually build something from this. I can actually make something of this. And I didn't realize going through that whole process was actually molding me to be something greater that I could not see at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with failure too. You said that kind of your definition of hitting the wall was that you hit that point where everything was like you felt like everything was a failure, basically
Hmm.
everything you were doing. And I think those are other signs too of like, okay, it's just, and I know we talked about this for everyone. We talked about this before we went live, but it's like that entrepreneurial journey too, right? It's that if something doesn't work, you just find another way. And if that doesn't
Absolutely.
work, you just find another way. And I think that was really
Absolutely.
great that you listened to yourself.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, and this is what you and I do all the time, is try to teach people like listen to what's best for you and
Exactly.
what's
Exactly.
best for yourself. And so like for you specifically and for someone to even start investing in themselves and what we've talked about, what do you think would be just a really good tip for them, um, even if they're just kind of getting started, maybe they're just not happy, what would you tell those people?
Got it, got it. So this is, I'll be honest, this is the reason why I love coaching. As you know, you know, I'm
Hmm.
very big on just the mindset.
Yes.
Uh, if anybody knows me, I have quotes everywhere. So it's one of those things that I'm
And
always, what is it?
no, I'm just thinking of when we work together because y'all, I read a lot, and anyone who knows me now, I read a lot more than I used to. Cornelius probably reads like triple the amount of books that I read. He is like a learning junkie. That's all
So
I
true.
just remember when we worked together, he always had like a new book that he was bringing
So
in
true.
every other day. And that's like the core of life is growth and learning. But I'm
Mm.
sorry that made me think of that. Keep going.
No, no, that's absolutely fine because that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the way I would break it down is, I wouldn't say there's one precise tip. I would say there's several steps that it goes into investing in yourself. And the first and primary step is having the ability to be aware. And when I talk about awareness, it's really the ability to recognize the internal and external stressors that are within us. And I'll break that down. So external stresses are things such as our mindset, what we say to ourselves on a daily basis. As I was just saying, in the past, when I hit that wall, it was this sense of you're not great enough. You're not worthy of this.
Yeah.
And we have to really back up and realize, hey, what are we telling ourselves on a daily basis to get where we want to be, and are we aligning it to where we want to be? And the as for the external stressors, it is the things as our environments, the relationships that we have. Do the relationships hold us to a level of accountability in certain aspects? And I think we
Yeah.
sometimes we don't think about those things, but even in our work environments, we have to be able to filter out what we need and what we hear on a daily basis to get to where we ultimately want to be. Um, so that is the most critical thing when it comes to awareness, is being able to face what we want to change, and that comes with a level of focus and clarity to eliminate the distractions and things that are around us, so that way we can take back that control that we ultimately have. We sense that we don't have it, but we always have that ability to control the things that we can.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that's really important how you said the relationships around you, and
Mhm.
are they leaving, are they I think you said are they keeping you at a level of accountability that you need?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I get that question a lot too, because some people are like, well, if I'm with negative Nancy all the time and it's my sister, how do I get away from her? And it's like, you don't have to throw people out of your life, but if you are
Exactly,
really serious, and like you just explained, if you're really serious about changing your life, you've got to change things in your life. And if that
absolutely.
means keeping a distance of those people, maybe it does mean ending a friendship. Like
Hmm.
if these people aren't really, my watch just asked me what I needed on its own. I don't know what that was about. But yeah, and so I think that's really important. And like you said, it's not a best tip, which
Hmm.
is so important too, because everyone thinks that there's like a book to follow, or and it's not.
I wish there was one manual. Like I would,
I
I would, I would, I would have studied it probably like 20 times by
Yeah.
now. So,
Yeah. Yeah, me too, for sure. Jasmine, hey Jasmine, she just typed in
oh,
she said my two, or my most favorite people ever.
awesome, awesome. Hey, Jazz, how's it going?
There's like a little bit of a delay on there, but so what other questions do people normally come to you for? Because I want to make sure we're covering everything that you want to cover too on our talk.
Yes, I'll back up a little bit because I wanted to cover some essential steps as well. That comes after the awareness piece.
Yeah.
Um, the second part of that step would be the actual education piece, and once you have awareness and you have clarity and focus, the educational piece, as for myself being a coach, when I'm in front of a client, I have to get them to understand the importance of why your health and well-being should be your primary goal. And the reason behind that, and the reason why I believe in that, is because without your health, there is no clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to understand that with our brain and our body, it will do whatever it thinks that it needs to do to survive. And in that process, it can also create habits and behaviors that can be harmful to our overall well-being. So one of the biggest things is educating the person once they have that sense of awareness. Okay, we understand that what we're dealing with. We
Mm-hmm.
understand the vocabulary that we have towards ourselves. How can we sync purpose to that? Because once we have purpose, we can actually say this is where we're going. We have a destination, we have a path to actually follow. Even if we fall off track, we can still look over and say, oh, this is where I'm trying to go. And that is the biggest piece.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. That's good stuff. I mean, everything. I'm like, well, I have nothing else to add. He covered all. Yeah, that's right. So, what else are like? So, the first step you said is that self-awareness piece. That's key.
Hmm.
If you don't know, unless you know where you are and what you need, you don't really
Hmm.
know what direction to go in. And then, obviously, education, and then being able to integrate purpose into what you're doing. Because if
Hmm.
you're not all in, it's not
Oh.
it's not going to work. You're not going to sustain that. So let's just act like if someone comes to you and they're trying to start, like you start training them and they're trying to start a workout program or whatever the case is. And let's just say they ask you, this is something that I haven't been able to keep up with. What do you normally tell those types of clients? Because I know that that happens a lot and it's really difficult to stay with an exercise regimen and stay motivated.
Mm.
Um, what I kind of, you could just spout off, but I'm just curious because I know that you are really influential with your clients, and I'm just curious to see what you normally work them through. If they're just kind of like, I don't know that I'm going to stick with this.
Mhm. So, like I say, it's so funny because I usually do the opposite response. When I'm sitting down with a client, I take the time to just really listen, and I get to really observe. And I think that was the biggest thing that I've learned throughout my career of training and training at all populations. I always took the time to observe, and you will notice people who achieve their goals, they would get that sense of excitement. But the thing that I realized as a coach, I fell in love with the process of how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I always looked at it as, okay, let me hear the person. Let me meet them where they are. And once I can understand where they are, we can make those necessary adjustments. So, like for example, if a client comes in, the first thing is we want to capitalize on that level of awareness. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is we want to educate them to say, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is why this connects to your goal and where you're trying to go. And lastly, the piece that I love is build the foundation. And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is taking the necessary actions and creating a system that fits within your lifestyle for you to reach and maintain those physical and performance goals that you have set out for yourself.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I were to have a client that comes in, the first initial thing would be a detailed assessment. And with that detailed assessment, we can really understand what they're trying to achieve, where they're at. Have you started anything? What hurdles are you facing? What hindrances are you facing? What are these stressors? And a lot of those times, a lot of people during that assessment, they don't even realize the stresses until it's just the quality of questions that they were answered. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I never thought about it that way. So by getting that bit of information, me as a performance coach and as a coach, I can create sessions not just based on the physical aspect, but I can create sessions to actually mentally drive them in areas that they may be lacking. For
Mm.
example, I work with a lot I work with clients and I do mental reset sessions.
Mm-hmm.
What those mental reset sessions are is kind of like the mindset of stop, adjust, breathe, and go. And what we do is we create a session that allows them to shake a little bit and get them out of their norm, because you get to hear the frustration. Oh man, I can't. The sense of
Oh,
what
they
happens to
can't work.
them. What happens to them when they fail? What is the reaction? Do they close in? Is there a massive amount of tension? Is there anger towards themselves? And from there, I can really create a plan and a program to break that down and say, okay, today we're going to go back to what we were scared of, but we're going to approach it in a different manner. We're going to change the language of how we approach it. We're going to say, today is going to be great, and I'm going to conquer what is in front of me. And by teaching that and building that foundation on a daily basis, and every time I see them, we begin to go that brick by brick method until we build a wall that can maintain everything that we need for
Oh, I love that.
a lifestyle.
We need to
Yeah.
start working together again. Where have you
Because
been all my life? No, I love that. Oh my gosh. So lastly, the last thing I want to ask you is where can people find you? If they're listening, they're like, man, I really need him as a performance coach. Where do they go?
So I have a Facebook page within Light Training. As of right now, with everything going on, I am actually doing everything online, but it is set up to where we do weekly phone calls. So I do weekly check-ins as well as weekly personalized program. And really, it's also a community that allows people to come together and build and hold each other accountable and grow together, because the more, like I say, the more we can get in an environment that instills growth, the change and the adaptation will come with everything that you're trying to go. And I think that's the biggest thing, just going forward. So you can always reach me at Enlight Training on Facebook. And then also my Instagram is at Enlight Training as well. And my website and everything are on those sites also.
Awesome. Yeah. And for everyone, as usual, I'll put all of his social media handles. I'll go back and edit them in the live so you could take a look. And anything else you wanted to add for today?
Uh, what do I want?
We could
You know,
talk forever.
you know. Actually, I will add a couple of things.
Okay.
Because I would say the most common question is, a lot of people ask me, how do I start? Where do I start? How to get started. And the word of advice I want to really give, and of course I got to come with a quote today. I have to.
Go for it.
And this is a quote by a professional tennis player by the name of Arthur Ashe. And he basically says, start where you are with what you have.
Mm,
And a lot of times when we start, we try to start everything all at once.
yes.
And I want to really encourage people to say, hey, scale back. When the battle that is in front of you, if that hurdle is, hey, let I heard one of your I heard one of I listened to one of your talks, and you were saying, hey, one of the biggest disciplines that you do is put your shoes on to work out. you know so
True. Yeah.
so it's winning that battle. Okay,
Hmm.
let me put my shoes on. Okay, let me get outside. Let me get in the car to go to the gym. Let me make these initial steps. And by taking those small continuous efforts over time, we still build the foundation. and
Yes.
so and so what people have to understand, that, hey, take it day by day. Get disciplined in the small things, and when you get disciplined in the small things, you'll realize that it'll change your life. When you come to those major hurdles and those major steps, you're like, wow, I'm built for this. I did this. I'm
Yeah.
capable of doing this. I can conquer it. And when you break that, that's the level of enlightenment that allows you to say, wow, I can create a lifestyle around this.
Yeah, and that's the key. Thanks for bringing that up too, because that is the key, guys, to building a habit, because it is a habit. And habits
Absolutely.
are hard to build. I don't even like
Mhm.
using the hard word, but I'm going to, everyone knows it's hard. It's difficult to start
Absolutely.
something new. And the hardest part is starting. So, like what he just mentioned, for me specifically, the hardest part for me working out is putting my shoes on. That is actually the hardest part. Even the drive, that for some people it might be getting in the car and starting the car, but for me it's actually the act of getting dressed and it's like just focus on what's right in front of you. Like Cornelius just said, focus on the first hurdle. Don't focus
Yes.
on the huge, like I have to lose 50
Yes.
pounds by this date. Like, stop doing that. Stop. Yeah, that was really good. That's, to me, that is the key thing, is that a lot of us, and we all do it, is when we have a goal, we tend to do
We take
the
off.
aerial helicopter view and take a look at the whole house we're building, and not just like putting one brick down, the other brick down.
Exactly.
It's, then we get a little impatient, and
Mm,
that's when people start to, get frustrated. And it's the process. That's all it is. Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Couple other comments saying love it. Hey Gloria, thank you for joining. And everyone, per usual, I'll repurpose this to YouTube if you want to go back and watch it. If you want to reach out to Cornelius, I'll put his handles in the comment box. And then if you cannot remember, as always, reach out to me and I'll get you to him. So thank you so much for joining today, and
Awesome.
talk with you soon. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.